using is angle, angle. So your end game will always, always, always be these triangles are similar because of angle, angle. I'm not making you have to prove similar or proportionality of sides in a two-column proof. So whenever we're asked to do a proof, some of you guys already have it set up. Get your T-chart for your two columns, statements on the left, reasons on the right. And line 1 should always be your given. So we are given an angle S is congruent to angle W. Given. All right. So, question?
No, I was just saying the next part.
Oh, again, so it's still going to hold true that line 2 can, if you're stuck, can be reflexive property or vertical angles. The only difference is our reflexive property is going to be for an angle congruent to an angle and not necessarily a side congruent to a side. So in this diagram, what do we have? Shannon, what do we have? Vertical angles, right? So now we're just going to make sure that we name our vertical angles correctly. So I'm going to say angle SUV is congruent to angle, that would be what, WUT. My if-then statement would be if vertical angles, then congruent. So for us to be able to say that two triangles are similar based off of angle, angle, I need to have two sets of congruent angles. Do we have two sets of congruent angles? Yeah, there's one. There's the second one. So can I say that my two triangles are similar? Yeah. So line 3 is our prove line. Triangle SUV is similar to triangle TUW because of angle, angle similarity. I get my first angle from line 1. I get my second angle from line 2. Done.
Why was that so easy?
Because it's beautiful. It's not. The only thing that's going to be harder is just getting your congruent angles. But all of your proofs in this chapter are going to end with angle, angle. So if anything, if you don't have a clue about anything, you should at least be able to get the given written down, right? And you should at least be able to put the prove line with angle, angle next to it, since that's the only option that we're going to have. And then hopefully you can figure out the stuff in between. All right, number 2. Let's go ahead and get our T-chart set up. So we've got statements on the left, reasons on the right. Line 1 is your given. So we're given that JK is parallel to GH. Given. So again, vertical angles or reflexive properties still is going to come into play. Here I do not have vertical angles, but I do have a reflexive property. What angle is shared in the overlapping triangles? Yeah, that top angle up there at F, right? So angle F is congruent to itself because of the reflexive property. So now I've got one set of congruent angles. Why would angle 1 and angle 2 be congruent to each other?
Because the parallel angles have the congruent.
And what's the name of those type? Corresponding, right? And that should be on our purple sheet. So if I see up here the symbol of parallel lines, I would go onto my purple sheet and find all my if-then statements that has the parallel lines on it. And that one says if we have parallel lines, so if parallel lines, then corresponding angles are congruent. So now let's actually name them with the letters. How would you name angle 1 with 3 letters? I like that. Angle FJK is congruent to, and then angle 2 would be what? That works. JGH. Now, do we have two sets of congruent angles? Yep. So now just rewrite your prove line. So line 4, triangle JFK is similar to triangle GFH because of angle-angle similarity. And I got my two angles from line 2 and then line 3. Done. Okay. Hey, doesn't that just feel good when it seems easy? It should be easy. You guys should now be masters of proofs. Bless you. All right, last one on the back. Oops, come back. Maybe come back. All right, T-chart. Statements on the left, reasons on the right. Get your given in there. So line 1 is MQ is parallel to OP. Given. Do we have a reflexive property or vertical angles? Vertical angles. We got that lovely bow tie. So I got that angle congruent to that angle. So let's name the left vertical angle. How do you want to name it? I will go with that. You could. That wouldn't really work. Angle MNQ would be congruent to angle... Well, if we go MNQ, then we technically should go PNO. Because the parallel lines means the opposite diagonal. Would I take points off for that? No. But technically that's where we should be going. So line 2 reason, if vert angles, then congruent. Alright, now I got parallel lines again. Well, I don't have corresponding angles congruent, but I do have... What other type of angles do we have congruent with parallel lines? Parallel lines, corresponding angles are congruent. If parallel lines, alternate interior angles are congruent. If parallel lines, alternate exterior angles are congruent. Interior, right? Now you've got two to pick from. We can either do M and P, or I could do Q and O. Which one do you prefer? There's no right or wrong. M and P. All right, so if we go M congruent to P, and I can just say M. I don't need 3 letters there because there is only one angle occurring at M and P. And then I can write if parallel, then alt int angles congruent. Now do I have 2 sets of congruent angles? Yes, so line 4, rewrite your prove line, triangle MNQ is similar to triangle PON because of angle similarity. And I got my 2 angles from line 2 and then line 3. Okay? So, not too many options on how to get our congruent angles, right? So if you have your index card in front of you, maybe you want to write down all of our options on there. So for proofs, where we're doing just angle similarity, we can have the reflexive property. For one of our reasons, we can have if vert angles, then congruent. That gets us congruent angles. You can put that on your index card if you want, or just put it on your notes there so that you know to transfer it on your index card if you do not have it. We have if parallel, then corresponding angles congruent, or if parallel, then alt interior angles congruent. That's really the only options we're probably going to have. We got 4 to pick from. If it's the reflexive property, what's our diagram going to look like? The overlapping triangles, right? That's when we have the reflexive property. If it's vertical angles, then we have the old bow tie looking triangles, right? Corresponding angles would be the overlapping triangles. Alternate interior would be the bow tie. So really, 2 and 4 would kind of usually pair together, and 1 and 3 should pair together usually if you're not given all the information. Okay? All right, so you are going to